Nice view from the big rock on top. Okay, so I'm going to make you work to see how much you know about Canada. Okay? I always like to put Quebec in Canada. So let's talk about Canada first, then we'll put what Quebec, where does it fit, and Canada. Alors j'aime toujours parler du Canada avant de parler de la ville de Québec. So first thing you need to know, you've been in Canada for what, a few hours, a few days? You must know before you leave the country at least what Canada means. You know what Canada means? You know? Okay. Qu'est-ce que veut dire le mot Canada? Yes. Hey, class, she's passing her Canadian citizenship exam. By the way, if you want to become Canadian citizen, so if you want to become Canadian citizen, you have to pass an exam, okay? If you're 55 and younger. That being said, Canada means village and it's First Nation. Alors Canada, c'est un nom autochtone qui veut dire village. Oh, welcome to the village. When you start looking at map, big village, right? Le Canada, c'est un grand village with nobody in it. Okay? Are you ready? Do we have people from California State? No? Okay. There's more people in California State, for my fellow Americans on the bus, okay, than in Canada from coast to coast. Alors, il y a plus de gens dans l'État américain, la Californie, que dans le Canada. So, how many we are? The Americans are 300 million more than we are. Alors, les Américains sont 300 millions plus que nous. So, how many we are in Canada? Second question you need to know before you leave the country. You have a clue?
26 million.
26? That's when I was born. So pretty close. 40 million people in one of the biggest countries in the world. Wow, right? Alors on est 40 millions, un des plus grands pays au monde, avec 40 millions. And everybody in this country lives around that river, with the exception of Vancouver, a big other town, okay? So, you now know what Canada means. You know that we're 40 million. And when I was born, it was half of that. And I'm not old, okay? I'm not in an antique shop yet, okay? I'm a 1969 model, for those who are interested to know, okay? It was half of that population when I was born. So, welcome to the village. Quebec City is the capital of one huge province. The parliament is on top, and we'll see it later on. Alors, le Canada, vous savez ce que ça veut dire, village, vous savez qu'on est seulement 40 millions d'habitants. Et Québec, c'est la capitale. So Quebec is the capital of that huge province, the biggest in size. So, for my fellow Americans, I could put Texas 2.3 times in the province of Quebec. I could put France, mes cousins français, je peux mettre la France plusieurs fois dans le Québec. C'est 2 fois plus gros que l'État de Texas, with only 9 million people. And this is the capital. It's not Montreal, it's Quebec City. Quebec City will be founded before Montreal. It makes sense because they arrived by boat. And they're going to go discover the east before the west, like we discovered New York before. On top, we have a beautiful castle you can see right now, with a wall. There's a wall that surrounds Old Quebec upper town. So Quebec is like Carcassonne. It's a fortified town with gates to get in and out. Montreal will destroy their gates. Montreal will destroy the walls. Not Quebec City. We'll learn why. Alors à Montréal, vous arrivez de Montréal, il y avait les murs qui entouraient la ville de Montréal avec des portes. Montréal va les détruire. On va détruire les portes, on va détruire les murs, mais pas Québec. And if you pay attention during this tour, from here to here, it goes all around. That's the wall here. On top, a castle. We call it a castle because it looks like a castle, but actually it's a Canada Pacific Hotel. Sur le dessus, c'est le château Frontenac. On l'appelle le château parce qu'elle a l'air d'un château, mais c'est un hôtel du Canadien Pacifique. Ceci étant dit, Québec était la capitale de la Nouvelle-France. So why do I speak French? Well, the Spanish went to South America. That's why they speak English, right? The British arrived in the U.S., not the U.S. yet, the 13 colonies. That's why they speak English. And the French arrived in Canada. They're the first to arrive and colonize this part of the world. There will be some things that will happen here. We'll learn more about it. So, the King of France has a castle. You know, you've been to Paris, Château de Versailles, right? À Paris, on a le Château de Versailles. Alors, le roi de France, quand il a pris le territoire, il voulait un château exactement là, et il en a construit un. Alors, c'est le château du gouverneur de la Nouvelle-France. So the French governor is going to have a castle, not that one, that's the third one, okay? A real castle on top, Château Saint-Louis, Saint-Louis Castle. It will be there for more than 200 years, and it will grow and grow and grow. So the King of France, parce qu'il n'y a pas d'autoroute, il n'y a pas encore de train. So if you're curious and you come back, and you decide to come back, under this there's a boardwalk, beautiful boardwalk, which is must do this afternoon without Chantal. Okay? Alors cet après-midi, vous allez devoir monter en haut et faire marcher sur la terrasse, elle est de toute beauté, une vue imprenable. And under her feet, they found 1 million artifacts and what's left of the Chateau Saint-Louis. And it's managed by who? Park Canada. So the boardwalk is federal land. It's managed by qu'on peut visiter avec des guides de Parc Canada quand la saison débute. Okay? Et ils ont trouvé à peu près 1 million d'artefacts. So we'll be there for over 200 years till it burned by accident. So when the English arrive, later on, quand les Anglais arrivent, okay? Who's having balls at that beautiful Château Saint-Louis? The English governor. Le château du 1892, l'hôtel, la tour du centre des années 20, et en 100 ans plus tard, les années 90, nos années, on va avoir une meilleure partie. So now the third question. We know the population of Canada. We know what it means. Who's the head of state? Qui est le chef d'État du Canada? Who's the head of state in Canada? Do you know?
Yeah. King Charles.
Haha, you have to know. So King Charles. So Canada is part of the Commonwealth, like my fellow friends from UK. So King Charles is the head of state. Okay? But he cannot be here. Alors le prince Charles est le chef d'État du Canada. Il ne peut pas être ici. So he has a rep. What do we call the rep? The Governor General of Canada. And you ready, ladies? It's not a he, it's a she. Okay? Alors, le gouverneur général du Canada représente le chef d'État, le roi. OK? Alors, c'est une femme, mesdames. C'est une grand-mère. Et elle est inuit. Alors, sa langue n'est ni le français ni l'anglais. Sa langue première est le Inuktitut. Elle vient du pôle Nord, en haut de cette belle province. So, the head of state is a she, grandmother. Her language is not French or English, one of the two official languages of Canada. She's Inuit, so it's Inuktitut. And, by the way, she has 2 penthouses. You know where? You must know where. Okay? Où le gouverneur général a ses 2 penthouses. So Mr. Trump, for my fellow Americans, have a penthouse called White House. So she has the Rideau Hall. It's in Ottawa, but she has a second residence. Where? In Quebec City, on top in the Citadel of Quebec. So you can visit it. So if you're going to come back and you want to learn about the Governor General Rowe and see her penthouse, you'll know when she's not there. Okay? So I invite you to come and visit Madame Simon. Alors, Madame le gouverneur général a 2 propriétés, une dans la capitale du Canada, qui est à Ottawa, et une à Québec. So why Quebec? It was the capital of New France. Became the capital of New England. So there was a French governor, an English governor, so it makes sense that Governor General of Canada has a penthouse on top. Okay? So that's for your next visit. I have to give you some ideas. That, right? That being said, just wanted to show that beautiful hotel. So go in, you go straight, you go downstairs, and you can see black and white picture. You're gonna see Roosevelt, Churchill. You can see people ice skating on that boardwalk. You're gonna see people skiing. I mean, it's the playground back in the winter for the locals and visitors. Okay? Alors, je vous invite à rentrer, vous allez dans le fond, vous allez dans l'escalier du bas, nous avons plein de photos en noir et blanc et beaucoup d'histoires. Okay? Pour ceux qui aiment l'histoire. So, we're going to be going by bus up there, okay? And that will be your playground today, this area, and on top as you wish. I'm going to show you now how you get from Lower Town to Upper Town for your time off, okay? Je vais vous montrer comment monter de Haute-Ville à la Basse-Ville. Ouais. So you see the funicular? Do you see that? We see a statue over there? Okay, so your brain now has to register. You cannot get lost in Quebec City. There's no skyscraper blocking your view. So if you know where the castle is, right, you know where you are from the bottom of it, right? So here's the bus, right, this afternoon, remember? Bus, funicular, bus. Cannot get as simple as that, okay? So cet après-midi, n'oubliez pas, funiculaire. Si vous savez où est le funiculaire, vous savez où vous êtes. Au pied du funiculaire, on marche, on tourne, l'autocar est là. OK? C'est ce qu'il faut se retenir. The funicular gets you there for $5. The only business that pays cash. Okay? That being said, for those who like free rides, it's called legs. That's why I do this job, get fit. When you arrive at the funicular, you turn right. You see the group coming? They're just coming from a staircase. So you go to staircase, up, of course left, and you're on top, okay? So you just follow the path. That's a free ride. And for the others who don't walk up staircase or are concerned about funiculars because they don't like this type of thing, you can take a cab. Where the bus is, just at the corner here, is the ferry. I will show you the ferry. There's sometimes cabs, so you can take the cab to go from Lower Town to Upper Town for a few, very few bucks, okay? Third option. C'est bon? Alors, pour se déplacer, on prend le funiculaire, les escaliers ou un taxi ici, ou traversier, ce que vous appelez en français un ferry-boîte, OK? Et vous montez en ville. C'est bon? Got it? Good. Follow me. Les escaliers sont à côté. Les escaliers sont à côté du funiculaire. Et là, vous montez, vous allez vers la gauche, et ça, c'est gratuit. Sinon, le funiculaire, $5 comptant. OK? Springtime, right? By the way, you don't see it yet. So you have to come in we have 4 distinct seasons. Now it's springtime. So springtime means everything is dirty, flowers are not up yet. It's between seasons. The advantage, lower cost, and you have the place to yourself. In the summer here, I'm walking like that. 9 out of 10 people are not locals, they're visitors. We're getting millions of visitors. Okay? It is the most beautiful city in Canada. Take my word for it here. And nature is not too far away. So beautiful again view on here. I want to point out, do you see those people over there? Like there's a cannon with a Canada flag. Can you see that? On top? The Canada flag over there. Like the cliff. Look at the cliff. Looks like that is the Citadel of Quebec. And that's where the penthouse of Governor General. And it's the highest point. Those are good walkers. Pour ceux qui sont des bons marcheurs, you love views, the must do, if you walk well, not a big deal, but you know what I mean? Okay? You take the funicular or the staircase, you walk the boardwalk this afternoon, and then you follow the path, and you get as high as you can. The view is spectacular. Okay? OK? Pour ceux qui savent marcher, qui ont des bonnes jambes. Recommandation pour les vues imprenables. Vous prenez le funiculaire, vous prenez les escaliers, vous montez et vous montez jusqu'au bout. Et là, vous suivez la route, le petit chemin pour monter en haut. C'est bon? La vue est spectaculaire. I want to point out the cabs. Normally that's the ferry over there. So there's always cabs left. The cab just left. There was one there. So it gets you from there up a town, lower town, if you want to take the stairs in Old funicular. Although funicular could be a fast and nice option. I want to point out the ferry. Je vais vous compter les traversées. So you came from the 20, right? The highway 20, you're on the other side. Took the two last bridge before the Atlantic Ocean. So there's no other bridge going east. So how do you see your neighbor? So if you live 1,000 kilometers on this side, 600 miles-ish for my fellow Americans, okay? You live 6,000 miles, no, 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers. You want to see your neighbor, you have to drive 600 miles, 1,000 kilometers, take the bridge that you took, and do another 1,000 kilometers just to see your neighbor, okay? And by the way, that is a long way. Alors, si vous voulez aller voir votre voisin de l'autre côté du fleuve, il n'y a plus d'autres ponts après le pont des ponts que vous avez traversé. Alors, il faut faire 1000 km, refaire 1000 km, traverser, faire 1000 km pour être chez votre voisin face à face. But the government made it easy for us. It cut that in half, which is still a lot of road, by giving us ferries like that. So this ferry is getting people from the other side. Last 3 hours from here, we have a ferry that takes 3 hours. And it's 10 times bigger than that to cross. And even with a funicular, you don't see the other side of the river. You think you're in the sea. It's not the sea, it's the river. The Sans River has the biggest estuary on the planet. There's no other river in the world, but it's not the longest in North America. Mississippi is longer. And we have in the Canada West a beautiful river that is much longer. But that is the most important because everything we buy in North America, Americans and Canadians, pass in front of here, goes past in front of Montreal. Montreal is that way. They win the canal and they go by truck all around the canal to the States and Canada. Alors le fleuve Saint-Laurent, c'est pas le plus long fleuve, c'est le plus grand estuaire de la planète. Mais le plus long fleuve, il y a le Mississippi qui est plus long en Amérique, il y a un autre fleuve dans l'Ouest canadien. Now, that being said, some of you may not know this bridge over there. But that bridge goes to an island, not crossing both sides of the river. We'll talk about islands. There's more than 1,000 islands, 1,800 islands in that river, Canadian side. Okay? So when you are in Montreal, you are on an island, if you didn't know, okay, and the river. So now, what Quebec means? Alors maintenant, on va parler de ce que Québec veut dire. Quebec is First Nation. That means where the river narrows. So where is the river more narrow, you think? Alors Québec, ça veut dire où c'est autochtone, ça veut dire où le passage, la rivière est plus étroit. So where the bridge are, makes sense, right? You have to build a bridge. So if you pay attention, it's less than a kilometer wide. Okay? For a very long time, navigation stopped. For des centaines d'années, la navigation s'arrête à Québec. Why? Because that river frees. I can walk on that river in February. I can take my horse, my snowmobile, that's now, and cross this river by foot. 3 feet of ice, 1 meter. Cette rivière gèle, so no navigation for 6 months of the year. Now, yes, it's open for 12 hours because of the Coast Guard. We'll learn what the Coast Guard do. So that ferry gets stuck in the winter. That's when my sister is late at work. So that's when the Coast Guard, which is over there with white and red boat, comes out, the icebreakers to break the ice for that ferry to continue its route. That being said, with climate change, it's really getting soft, okay? So back in the old days, people made a living to cross clients on this long river on a canoe. So I have black and white picture, and this is unique in the world. If you come back in February, you're gonna see 60 teams competing at minus 25 degrees on their canoe, half jumping on ice and half the time rowing with tides going like this at a very high speed. So unique in the world. Alors, si vous voulez voir quelque chose d'unique, vous revenez en février, et vous allez voir des courses de canot. Il y a la course de canot, 60 équipes qui traversent le fleuve en hiver à moins 25 degrés Celsius. Alors, ils rament. Oh, il y a de la glace. So, ils tirent. Okay? Oh, by the way, if you're the fifth guy person, maybe you, okay, you can come here and get on a canoe on that river in the middle of the winter. It's like you feel like you're in another world, okay? And the tour guides are from France, by the way. I bet for a français qui fait des tours. You know what? It's more than 20 years old. It has a few years in the body and no graffiti on it. Okay? So, how this came about, this project, there's a French company, not a French Canadian, a French company in France. Okay? La Cité de la Création, pour mes cousins français. La Cité de la Création, c'est une compagnie française qui est très reconnue à travers le monde pour faire des murales extérieures. Alors en Europe, il y en a beaucoup, surtout en Allemagne. Okay, so this company is a French company called La Cité de la Création, very well known around the world for do outdoor painting, but painting that will last. Okay, and they're very big in Germany and in Canada as well. We have 14 of them, but that's the biggest and the main project. So it's basically my city story on a mural. So you have the 4 seasons. Alors vous avez les 4 saisons. Winter, we have a real winter here. A real summer, you know, and fall, because all around us, everything that you see, those trees, all around the coast, and nature's not too far, it's all maple trees. So the colors are out of this world beautiful. And you have the arch, which is one of the doors that gets you into Old Quebec, so that's the participation. So who found Quebec? Who discovered Canada? Christopher Columbus, we know what he did, but Jacques Cartier, remember? Now Jacques Cartier left a beautiful town called Saint-Malo, France. I invite you to visit Saint-Malo, it's worth it, okay? I went because I was curious to see where Jacques Cartier was. And it's all about the Quebec flag, it's kind of interesting, but that makes sense. Is on top there. You can see à gauche, Jacques Cartier. Jacques Cartier arrived does 3 trips in the 1500s, and they will have they will settle here, but they will leave. What's happening on the other side have impact. It costs a lot of money, so they decide to leave, and we'll have to wait 1608. The other green guy, Samuel de Champlain. We have Samuel de Champlain, who will cross the Atlantic Ocean, and he will be the first governor. So Quebec is founded in 1608. Samuel de Champlain, he will discover the famous lake in the U.S. called Lake Champlain, the Outaouais River, from my fellow Canadian from Ontario, right? Champlain discovered the Outaouais River. And this guy, if you're curious, was one of the most expensive books ever sold in the U.S. in New York City on auction. Samuel de Champlain Voyage. Alors, le livre de Samuel de Champlain, 1613 va être vendu à New York en un encas pour presque 2 millions de dollars américains. Almost sold for $2 million US, one book. That guy. Great navigator. He'll have a great life because he only navigates all the time. He knows how to use an astrolabe, and there's more statues of him in Ontario. But the one on top is the less controversial of all. The man who discovered the Mississippi, qui a découvert le Mississippi, un Français. Son nom c'est Louis Joliette. That's the man going down the staircase. Then you have the national sport. Do you see the national sport in Canada? You have an idea looking at the... C'est quoi le sport national au Canada? Hockey? Almost. Snow shoveling. Snow shoveling. Le pelletage, c'est le sport national. Okay? Parce que tout le monde sait pelleter. How much we get snow? As much as my height and my front door home when I was a kid. The snow would go on top, so that door would be condensed. We would be using a side door. Welcome to Canada. Well, I should say Quebec. Okay, because Vancouver, they have no snow. I mean, the mountains, but in downtown. Okay, what else we have? The first bishop of Quebec, guy in red. Le premier archevêque de Québec, Monseigneur de Laval. Monseigneur de Laval, d'où? Laval University. So in Quebec City, 1/3 of the buildings on top there is owned by the Roman Catholic Church. 1/3, I said, yes. So where's the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church in Canada? And who is the Archbishop in charge of all Roman Catholic Church and Archbishop, who supervises all those Archbishops in Canada? The guy on top, okay? So we'll see his penthouse. The other third is tourism, like that big rock, hotels, restaurants, museums, art galleries, and the other third, federal national defense owned a lot of property. So federal, provincial, parliament, municipal government. A lot of government, three-level government in Quebec, a lot. So first bishop, so if you're curious, the first French university in North America, la première université francophone en Amérique du Nord, elle est où? À Québec, pas à Montréal, à Québec. Au-dessus en haut ici, on a un tiers des bâtiments qui appartiennent à l'Église catholique. Un tiers, c'est l'industrie touristique, comme les hôtels, tout ça. Et un tiers, c'est les édifices du gouvernement. Et Monseigneur Laval, d'où Laval University, big campus, 15 minutes driving from here, 50,000 students. Alors, l'Université Laval est un campus de 50 000 étudiants. Alors, une des plus grandes universités francophones en Amérique du Nord. The nuns, remember on top? The nuns arrived here in 1639. The Ursuline education, healthcare, the Augustine. So if you've been to Louisiana, for my fellow Americans, the Ursuline Convent in New Orleans, that was 100 years later, and the headquarters of those nuns is Quebec City. So that's there, they show up there. We have hockey, yes. We have an Italian guy. Who's from Italy? We have somebody from Italy. Okay. So this guy in black on the right side, he's actually Italian, but he's a governor. So he's selected to be a governor general, and he's the one behind the fact the wall. That's my So lui, ce britannique, cet italien, va être